Apologise or risk hostage deal collapse. Qatar's demand rattles Gaza talks. Netanyahu faces a political firestorm and Egypt draws its red line. Hamas taunts with haunting images. 48 hostages hang in the balance. Can words still hold a war at bay? The delicate framework holding together the Gaza ceasefire negotiations has reached a breaking point. According to Axios, Qatar, the tiny Gulf nation that has served as the primary mediator between Israel and Hamas for over a decade, is now demanding something unprecedented from Jerusalem: an apology. The demand stems from Israel's September 9th airstrike in Doha that killed 6 people, including a Qatari security officer, while targeting Hamas leaders discussing a US-sponsored hostage release proposal. According to sources familiar with the talks, Qatari Emir Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani has made this apology a precondition for resuming his country's mediation role. What the Qataris are doing is conditioning their continued role as mediator on a public Israeli apology. Reports suggest from discussions during US Secretary of State Marco Rubio's recent visits to both Jerusalem and Doha. But here's where it gets complicated. Qatar understands the political minefield this creates for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Sources indicate Doha is willing to show flexibility on the wording, potentially allowing Netanyahu to apologize specifically for the inadvertent killing of the Qatari security officer rather than for targeting Hamas leaders on Qatari soil. Qatar has hosted Hamas's political leadership since 2012, while simultaneously maintaining its position as a key US ally, hosting the largest American military base in the region. Now, it finds itself leveraging this unique position to extract concessions from Israel. A senior Israeli official admitted to Axios that Netanyahu realizes he miscalculated the fallout from striking Qatar. The official acknowledged that Israel had underestimated the scale of the crisis that attacking Qatar would cause. The stakes couldn't be higher. Without Qatari mediation, the Trump administration believes that reaching any deal to release the remaining 48 hostages and end the war becomes virtually impossible. Yet for Netanyahu, issuing such an apology would represent what one source called a politically explosive reversal that could destabilize his hard-right coalition government. While attention focuses on Qatar's demands, another crisis is quietly brewing along Egypt's border with Gaza. Israeli officials have raised concerns with the United States about what they describe as Egypt's violation of the Camp David peace accords through military buildup in the Sinai Peninsula. According to Channel 12 reports, Netanyahu personally raised these concerns with US Secretary of State Rubio, citing the construction of fighter jet runways and underground facilities that appear designed for missile storage. Israeli sources, quoted by the Times of Israel, said,
"What the Egyptians are doing in the Sinai is very grave and we're very worried."
Egypt's response has been swift and categorical. The Egyptian State Information Service denied any treaty violations.
Egypt is fully committed to maintaining the peace treaty with Israel, given that it has never violated any treaty or agreement throughout its history.
But the Lebanese Al Akhbar newspaper, citing unnamed Egyptian military sources, painted a different picture. The report suggested that Egypt has prepared contingency plans that would double troops along the Gaza border within 72 hours if Palestinian displacement occurs, accompanied by heavy weaponry and helicopters. An Egyptian military source reportedly told the publication that such measures would serve as a deterrent to Tel Aviv.
Instructions for a plan to deal with any emergency include not shooting at any Palestinian approaching the border, and dealing with the matter exclusively according to humanitarian standards.
Egyptian Foreign Minister Badr Abdelati has been unambiguous about his country's position, telling CNN that any mass displacement of Palestinians from Gaza represents a red line.
"We will not accept it, we will not participate in it, and we will not allow it to happen."
As diplomatic efforts stall and military tensions rise, the human cost of this prolonged conflict becomes increasingly desperate. Tens of thousands of Israelis rallied across the country Saturday night, demanding action for the 48 hostages still held in Gaza after 713 days in captivity. The rallies come amid deeply troubling developments. Hamas has issued a propaganda poster showing all 48 remaining hostages with the name Ron Arad beneath each photograph. The message is chilling and deliberate. Arad, an Israeli Air Force navigator who disappeared in Lebanon in 1986, remains missing nearly 4 decades later. His fate unknown. The Hamas poster's text reads,
"Because of Netanyahu's refusal and Zamir's capitulation, a parting image as the military operation in Gaza City begins."
This psychological warfare comes as President Trump has again cast doubt on the hostages' survival, stating that very close to 40 of the 48 are likely dead. His assessment directly contradicts Israeli intelligence, which maintains that 20 hostages remain alive, with grave concerns for 2 others. An unnamed Israeli official responded firmly to Trump's statements, telling Cannes public broadcaster that
Any other number being tossed about, even by the President of the United States, is false and misleading.
the hostages and missing families. Forum's statement captured the urgency felt by families.
The writing is on the wall. There will be no other time to save our brothers and sisters who have languished in Hamas captivity for 713 days already. We will not permit the sacrifice of the hostages and soldiers.
Meanwhile, Israel's military offensive in Gaza City continues to intensify. Kogat Chief Major General Ghassan Alian reported that Hamas gunmen had brazenly robbed UNICEF aid trucks and fired on UN teams attempting to establish humanitarian corridors.
Hamas proves time and again that it has no interest in the well-being of the residents of the Gaza Strip, but only in its terrorist motives.
The convergence of these crises presents an almost impossible equation. Qatar's demand for an apology threatens to collapse mediation efforts just as families desperately need diplomatic progress. Egypt's border preparations suggest regional powers are preparing for worst-case scenarios. And Hamas's psychological pressure tactics indicate the group believes time is working in its favor. The question facing all parties is whether any diplomatic solution remains viable or whether the region is sliding toward an even more dangerous phase of this conflict. With 48 lives hanging in the balance and regional stability at stake, the next few weeks may determine whether this crisis finds resolution or explodes into something far worse.